Hello, welcome to the 14.14 Urgot patch rundown. So, lots of things going on with Urgot right now, mostly pertaining around its build paths, but everything is pretty much the same with Urgot right now. Very strong champion, bad in the current meta, Stride Breaker remedies to the current meta. So, WARMOGS is getting nerfed this patch. It's going from 1,300 bonus HP activation threshold to 1,500. This means you can no longer build WARMOGS in first item slot as it's too greedy. So they did this because support players are rushing WARMOGS and it's abusive on support. But for Urgot, you don't really want to build WARMOGS in the first item slot anyway. We want to be building WARMOGS on the third or fourth item slot. So example build, you want to start Black Cleaver majority of the time. So Black Cleaver, Stair Axe, Stride Breaker, WARMOGS. Great item build. You can go without Stride Breaker if you don't like Stride Breaker. I think Stride Breaker is a really good item, but if you don't like Stride Breaker, don't go Stride Breaker, just go straight into WARMOGS, and then round out your build. But don't round out your builds with jaksho anymore. I think jaksho has always been an overrated item, and it's kind of hard to justify why, but I feel like if any of you have built jaksho in recent times, I want you to remember back to a team fight where you felt like jaksho actually did anything for you. I think when jaksho had that drain effect, it was a really good item, and then ever since then, all Urgot players have been slowly coping about the item still being like buildable and good. So, jaksho, IMO, dead item. WARMOGS, still very good, debatably Z tier, high S tier. So, let's talk about item tier lists and build paths. I'll have all the build paths on the screen for you right now. If you have any questions about any of these build paths, just drop a comment in the comments and I will be happy to answer for you. So, build number one, obviously I just talked about it. Black Cleaver, into Stair Axe, then Stride Breaker, WARMOGS, and then round out your build with something defensive like a Force of Nature, Randwinds, Fawn Mail, etc. Something defensive. So, Urgot usually doesn't have the luxury of building more than 2 DPS items. Your DPS items are... or your damage items, not DPS. Your damage items are Black Cleaver and Stair Axe, right? Those are your 2 damage core items. Stair Axe needs to be built every single lobby because I don't really see how you make Urgot function without Stair Axe, but so yeah, Stair Axe every lobby. Stride Breaker is a good win more item. So if you're winning with Stride Breaker, you can go a little bit earlier. You can do like Black Cleaver Stride Breaker, you can start Stride Breaker against ranged champions, etc., etc. So start utilizing Stride Breaker. Your boots, you want to be buying Swifties, always buy Swifties. Been saying it for years, will continue to say it for years. Swifties have and will continue to be the best boots in League. They were going to nerf them and remove some of the movement speed on them, and they ended up like pulling the change. So until they nerf Swifties, build Swifties. I've been saying this, I'll keep saying it, buy boots of Swifters. Anyway, build 2. This is when you're against ranged champions. You want to go into Hullbreaker if you're winning. Keep in mind, this is only against ranged champions and like Shen, Singe, etc., etc. Champions who don't build armor early, or like, let's say, so Hullbreaker is like the ultimate win more item, right? If you're playing against a Darius, for example, you may go 0-4. That Darius can still beat you from 0-4 if you go into Hullbreaker. So against that Darius, to continue winning more against the Darius, you need Black Cleaver to keep progressing. But if you're playing against, like, let's say, Shen top, he's building armor, but he's Shen, so you naturally beat him. If you're playing against, say, Singe, you hard counter, ranged champions you're winning lane against, you can get more net yield by going Hullbreaker than you would with Black Cleaver. Because you don't need Black Cleaver to kill those type of champions, right? So that's how you keep steamrolling. So build 2 is a steamroll build. So this is Hullbreaker into Stride Breaker, Stair Axe, Black Cleaver, WARMOGS. It's a very good win more build. Can build WARMOGS earlier, can skip Stride Breaker. You can do Hullbreaker into Black Cleaver. But generally speaking, I still see a lot of Urgot players doing this. Never build Hullbreaker beyond the first item slot. There's very niche situations where this is actually applicable. Actually. But yeah, don't build Hullbreaker beyond the first item slot. You can... They said the whole reason Hullbreaker is so good is because Hullbreaker cracks plates. But if you're buying Hullbreaker when there is no plates, what are you doing? You know, so don't build Hullbreaker beyond the first item slot. It's a win more item that starts on first item. If you can't crack open towers in time to get plates with Hullbreaker, don't go it. If you're split pushing, you don't need Hullbreaker to get turrets anyway. You're going to get the turret like 2 seconds later. That's just what Hullbreaker does, right? So Hullbreaker is a tool to crack open more plates and just win more. So treat it as such. This is build 3. Build 3 is Strikebreaker into Sterax, then Black Cleaver, Warmogs, and then Overlord Bloodmail. So Overlord Bloodmail is a fantastic item for Urgot, and one I haven't mentioned until now, because I think it mostly depends on your playstyle, because build 1, right, is Black Cleaver, Sterax, Strikebreaker into defensive items. That's like all your damage. Strikebreaker is a luxury item, but is really good when you're winning. So build 1 with Strikebreaker is swapping it for Overlord's Bloodmail. Strikebreaker lets you play against range champions, it helps you kite out melee champions, but Overlord Bloodmail lets you continue to play like scaling game, right? So Strikebreaker is really good in the mid game, but it falls off a little bit into team fighting. Overlord Bloodmail is really good late game, because if you buy it on the 5th item slot, you're probably getting about 120 AD from the item. So Overlord Bloodmail is better the later you buy it. Strikebreaker is better the earlier you get it. So these are the 2 things you're balancing, really. You can also just skip the defensive item, go Overlord Bloodmail on 1st item build, but in that point, you're probably playing for utility, so yeah. Yep. Overlord Bloodmail, good. You should treat it as a situational item. As much as Strikebreaker is a situational item. Your only 2 core items on Urgot is Black Cleaver and Sterax, and everything else outside of that is just situational. One note, I would like to say, Redemption Urgot is back, baby! Well, it was never left, but I just stopped yapping about it for a bit because I didn't like answering people's questions 20 million times about where Redemption Urgot is good. But Redemption Urgot is a really powerful float tool. If you are playing top lane and you are getting camped, you have 0 gold economy, go Black Cleaver, and then go into Redemption. It's 2,300 gold. It gives you, if you hit Redemption on 2 allies on 2nd item slot, it heals them for 750 in 1 proc. They heal 325, 325, 375, 375, 750 on 1 item use. That can turn a team fight. Redemption is an item that is really good against hard engage. So think like Lee Sin, Viego, Katarina, Reset Champions, Galio, stuff that goes in and wants to stay in. Redemption is really good against because it kind of denies that initial burst of pressure forwards they have, right? So Redemption Urgot, I think you really should give a try and just let me know how you feel about it. If you don't like it, that's fine. Just give it a try and let me know how you feel. Because WARMOGS is fucking broken. And some people in the comments on my WARMOGS video are like, oh, I don't understand why you're doing this. But it's good! You know? I don't know. You just have to keep trying stuff with Urgot. And talking about trying stuff with Urgot, Grasp of the Undying is actually good. But only in really specific niche circumstances, okay? If you're playing against Malphite, Grasp. If you're playing against Rammus, Grasp. If you're playing against Cassandre, Grasp. If you're playing against any tank lane and you want to win because you think your bot lanes are idiots, go Grasp, run Ignite, and fist them. Give them the good old stinky finger. Grasp of the Undying is actually good against tanks because it lets you find solo kill angles. Obviously, you don't scale as hard because Grasp is kind of like bad outside the laning phase, but Grasp plays completely for the laning phase, right? And you also get to run all secondaries in the Resolve tree. Resolve tree has some of the best secondaries in the game. So what you want to do with Grasp is, well, what I do with Grasp normally. Grasp, Demolish, Conditioning, and Overgrowth. Secondaries, I run Absorb Life, but Absorb Life is getting nerfed in this patch, sadly, so maybe we won't run Absorb Life anymore, maybe we go back to Triumph. Still remains to be seen because they're nerfing it from levels 1 to 12, which is when Urgot wants it. So maybe we go back to Triumph, so keep that in mind. But Absorb Life and then Cut Down. That is my current Grasp rune page. Will be on screen when I'm talking about it. Try this rune page into tanks. Just keep in mind, have it permanently uptime. Just play really slow, and D-Shield Urgot is also back with this kind of playstyle. So it's really fun for laning phase. It gives you solo kill angles on tanks, which you ordinarily can't find. And it lets you find a win condition in yourself against tanks, right? Because if you're playing against a tank, you're going to sit there with teleport and fleet, and you're going to go... But with Grasp Ignite, you can actually kill them. In a couple of my videos, I've been doing Grasp Ignite, and I've had huge success. I think I've only done about 40, 50 games of grass, but I think my success rate is about 60-75%, somewhere in that range. So yeah, grass with Ignite, give it a try against tanks. Let me know how it feels. Against Cassandre, he's more of like a juggernaut kind of bruiser tank. You probably want to go PTA into him or Fleet. But Malphite, Poppy, Ramos, etc., tanks, traditional tanks you want to do grasp into. Alright, enough yapping. Here's a matchup tier list. Let me know if you disagree with any of these. I'll give you my justification. And thank you for watching. See you in the next video. I don't think I'll have to update a patch for a while, because I don't see anything drastically changing. I think the worst thing that happened this patch was they nerfed Absorb Life, which is kind of sad, but also makes complete sense. But yeah, see you in the next patch rundown. Thank you for watching, and please say goodbye to Radflip. This is Radflip's last editing video for us. He is going on to education. We will have 2 new editors making videos from now on. So bye! Bye, Rad! Bye!